Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to go over ultramarine blue in 4 different types. So I've got the Liquitex heavy body, we've got the golden heavy body, and then we're also going to look at the Amsterdam acrylic, which is a student grade, or it's not as nice as these heavy bodied professional grade acrylics. And then the golden open acrylic, which is a slow drying acrylic. So you can see the difference, the way it moves, the way it blends with the white. And you're just going to see what it looks like in action. So let's get into it. All right, so we're going to explore the difference between these paints. I'm going to squeeze them out so you can see. This is the golden heavy body, ultramarine blue. And I'm using all the same shades so we can see the difference between the same color. Let's see, we've got the Liquitex heavy bodied. Oh, that's a lot different than the golden. So these are like the two things that are going to be somewhat comparable. Like they're both heavy bodied professional acrylics. And then this one is the golden open, which is golden's also professional line, but it's going to be the slow drying acrylic. So you can see how that's a little different. And then this is just a basic, pretty good student grade acrylic from Amsterdam. It's the same color. So this one is like a little bit of a lower grade and less expensive. So, but they're all ultramarine blue, super pretty. Notice how, they look pretty much the same at this point. And then we're going to see the consistency, and it will mix a little bit of white in. And I'm just going to use just a standard white paint, same paint mix into all of them. So it's not biased or anything. We'll just use the Liquitex white for mixing purposes. And this is, again, the Liquitex heavy body. So for the first one, let's look at the Liquitex Basics heavy bodied ultramarine. So as you can see, I'm just going to use a little round brush. It's feels pretty good. Let's see how far it's actually pretty fluid out of the tube. I guess you can see how far the brush stroke can go without having to add water or anything or any medium. Let's add a little bit of white to it so you can see the shade come to life in a different, sometimes just mixing white in like allows you to see that undertone of the paint. It's pretty nice. I like it. I didn't add any water to that at all. It just glided pretty nicely for a heavy body. Sometimes the heavy bodies are a little sticky, depending on the brand, depending on what you're doing. And it's a pretty good thickness. So if you wanted to build texture or anything like that, it's going to be nice. Now this is the Amsterdam. Oh, this one's kind of actually more like sticky, not very fluid. This is, again, I'm not adding water or anything. Let's add a little bit of white and see the color. It's a little different. As you can see, the pigment is just not as, I don't know, it's like it's a little bit cooler. So we're just looking at that. It is actually really thick for a student, but the thing about the student acrylics is that there's usually like not as nice of a load of pigment in it. So the pigment's not going to look as rich. As you can see, this one's a lot more like textured and scratchy looking. So that's the Amsterdam Ultramarine, which is kind of comparable more to like the Liquitex Basics. It's like the similar kind of price point for those. And then this is our the golden heavy bodied. And I'd say that it doesn't flow as far as the Liquitex heavy body. Let's add in a little bit of white. See what that looks like. Pretty nice, like pretty color. So I feel like the Liquitex heavy body is a little bit more green leaning, just a little bit. It has a little bit. This one's a little cooler, the golden, but the golden feels a little stickier. So it flows better than the student. The pigment is a little cooler than your Liquitex, but it doesn't flow as smoothly. So that's something to consider. And I'm just cleaning and drying my brush all the way between testing this out so you can kind of see the flow without adding any kind of medium to it. And then we're going to do the golden open. Whoa. So the fluidity of this is crazy. I didn't even have to like grab up that much paint. And it goes so far. Oh my gosh. So I like that. It feels so much silkier. It's just got this really silky kind of glide to it. Obviously you kind of, and then this is the heavy body that I'm mixing into it. I do actually have a open white that I use, and you can mix that into your not open, like your slow dry acrylic or your fast dry regular acrylics can be used with just the open white. And I've actually really enjoyed playing with that. And then we can look at the color. Again, the pigment in the coloring is really almost identical to the heavy body. It's just your flow without adding anything is going to be so much nicer on that golden open paint. Like it's just going to flow and you're not adding anything to it. So obviously with our acrylics, we can add, and I'm going to go with the golden open first, just because I already have that paint on my brush. If I added a little water to my brush, mix that into the paint, you're just going to get an insane amount of flow and spread with that. And then you can obviously play with your different shades and just get so much of a different experience. It's not really sticking at all. It's just this glide. So if you're one of the people who's just like really frustrated with acrylics because they dry so fast and they don't blend really well, and you always feel like it's just sticking and not moving around, and it's just kind of giving you this vibe of like just painting with something that's not flowy, then this is your answer right here. The open, the acrylic, these ones, the open golden, these are not only like the best, like they're my favorite as far as like the way the color looks in the end if you're going to use professional paints. And they don't even make a student grade, sadly, because I probably would like that one. But I like the Liquitex too. Like this is the Liquitex heavy body. Again, if I add a little bit of water to like, let's look at that. I feel like this is actually more flowy than the golden heavy body. Like it has more flow to it. But like I said, I feel like it has a warmer undertone. Like a little bit more leaning towards a primary blue rather than towards that more purpley kind of blue. So it's just, again, adding your water, it will make it flow better. This one already had pretty good flow just right out the tube, I will say. This one, this Amsterdam one, the student grade, not so good. And I also have a Liquitex Basics student grade Ultramarine, but I'm going to show you what happens when you do not, when your paint gets old, because that's what happened to it. So why I don't have it in this demo, but we could still look at it. Let's see, this one's it's a little bit more of a purple vibe. It's not bad. It's just gonna get kind of, it's just a little bit less rich. It's a little, I don't know, the pigment isn't as nice. You can just feel it in person. It's crazy. But this golden, so these are gonna be like thick. Like you can see the thickness of the paint. It's just like really gobbing. I love it. So this is something you can really nicely build texture with quickly because it's going to dry quicker than the open. And it still has a really good flow, especially if you just dip your brush in the water and add that. Or you could use some sort of like gel medium to extend it a bit. But it is just beautiful. This one's really nice. So it's kind of like, I feel like you can get a similar flow out of the heavy bodied if you just really work the water in. But if you don't want to work the water in and you just want it to be more workable, and plus this won't dry as quickly, like this one is going to remain sticky. Like see how you can see the paint on my finger. And but this one will dry a lot quicker. It's just going to only be, after a while, I'm going to be able to touch it and it's just going to be, dry. So you know, if you want that speed and buildability and the pigment and everything, I would go with the heavy bodied golden. That I feel like I like that color better than the heavy bodied Liquitex. Like I don't like the color of this one as much. It feels a little bit warmer. And whereas I feel like when you're using ultramarine, you actually want that cooler kind of color. I'm gonna blend this one. And I feel like the blending, even when you add the water, doesn't feel as good with this one. It's like okay, but again, the open is going to be blendability, pigment, everything. This would be your choice, the open for blendability. You're just looking for that. If you're looking for just more versatility with quick dry, then you can add more water to get better blendability and just overall performance. Like golden heavy body is probably going to be the best ultramarine you can get. But again, between these two, this one is a little warmer. So if you like that, it's okay. It has a pretty good flow right out of the tube. So that's not bad. I liked that. I didn't have to use a lot of water to get it to go. And it felt pretty, like the consistency was pretty nice. But the Amsterdam, definitely my least favorite. And I'm going to show you what happens when you don't when your paint goes bad. So here we have the Liquitex Ultramarine. And then what you can see inside the tube, it's a sad sight. I'm gonna try to fix it. If I can fix it, I'll make a video about it. But it just coming out like a big chunk of kind of like cottage cheese, like ricotta. It's like, it looks like ricotta cheese, okay? So this isn't fair. I'm not gonna do a product kind of overview on it. It's like clumpy and it just went bad. I've had this paint for a really long time and I just like hadn't used it because I had it for an art kit and I had it in storage and all this drama. So anyway, I just haven't used it, but this is going to be more along the lines of the price range of the Amsterdam paint. The color is actually really similar to the heavy bodied shade. I can just kind of tell by looking at that. So it's a little warmer, meaning leaning more towards primary blue than your golden. The golden is a little bit of a cooler ultramarine color, which I like because that's kind of like what I think of when I think of ultramarine. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, those paints right out of the tube. Again, this is like the open is for my blenders, people who struggle, people who prefer oil. Maybe you're coming from oil and then you're trying acrylic. I suggest getting an open. Get the open paint. So much better. And then, you know, if you just want to dive into getting a nicer quality paint than your student grade acrylics, you're going to want to go with the golden brand as well, in my opinion, for at least for ultramarine. But in general, I found that I just tend to like the quality of this paint better. All right, thanks for watching. I hope that was helpful for you to help pick which type of paint you like just by comparing them side by side. And one little quick tip that I found fun is that if I go with like the heavy body, that's why I have the golden open in white. So like I was saying during the demonstration, you can mix, I wasn't using that for this, but you could use that if that was something that you wanted to have on deck. So you could have some regular white paint, then you can have some open. So like maybe you have a day where you want to get more of that workability. That's one way to invest in the open without having to buy every color. So you can mix the white into it if you use a lot of white in your mix, which a lot of times we do. And you would get that kind of partial slow dry effect mixed into and have that versatility with still being able to use regular, not open white if you wanted. So that's just an idea, something that I've played with and I've enjoyed. So hopefully this was helpful. Again, leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Happy creating. Bye.